There are moments in life when we stand at a crossroads, one path leading toward everything we think we want, and the other toward everything we already have but fail to see. This is a story about that choice. It's about a young man who had a mother's love but wanted the world's applause. It's about ambition that burned so bright it blinded him to the light that had always been there, waiting at home. Before we begin, ask yourself, what would you trade for success? Your time? Your comfort? Or perhaps, someone who would give their last breath to see you smile? This story will make you laugh. It will make you ache. And if you've ever taken someone for granted, it will make you remember. If you're watching or listening to this story, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell icon so you never miss a story that touches the heart. Now, let's begin. In a neighborhood on the eastern edge of a bustling town, not quite city, not quite countryside, there stood a row of modest homes with peeling paint and rusted gates. Among them was a small house with a sagging porch, where a woman named Grace Peterson lived with her only son, Daniel. Grace was a housekeeper. Every morning before dawn, she tied her graying hair into a bun, slip on her worn sneakers, and walk 40 minutes to the homes of people who never learned her last name. She scrubbed floors, washed dishes, and folded laundry while Daniel slept. By the time he woke for school, there would be breakfast on the table, sometimes just oatmeal and a banana, but always made with care. Daniel was 17, tall and lean, with his father's sharp jawline and his mother's gentle eyes. His father had died when Daniel was 8, a heart attack in the middle of the night that left no time for goodbyes. Since then, it had been just the two of them. But lately, something had shifted in Daniel. He'd started noticing things. Like how his classmates talked about weekend trips to the beach while he counted quarters for the bus. How they wore brand-name sneakers while he had duct tape holding the sole together. How they laughed about college plans while he pretended not to hear. One Friday evening, Grace came home with a small bakery box tied with string. "Danny, look what Mrs. Holloway gave me," she said, smiling as she set it on the kitchen table. "Cupcakes. The fancy kind." Daniel glanced up from his phone. "She gave you leftovers." Grace's smile faltered. "Well, they were going to throw them out anyway. I thought we could." "Mom, we're not a charity case." The words hung in the air like smoke. Grace lowered herself into a chair, her knees aching from the day's work. "Danny, I know things are tight. But we have enough. We have each other. Enough." Daniel stood, shoving his phone into his pocket. "Mom, I'm wearing jeans with holes in them. Not the cool kind, the broke kind. Kids at school think I'm a joke. Those kids don't define you." "Maybe not. But this place does." He gestured around the cramped kitchen with its flickering light and chipped countertop. "I'm tired of this, Mom. I'm tired of being the kid who can't afford anything." Grace reached for his hand. "Danny, listen to me." But he pulled away. "I need to get out of here." "Out? What do you mean?" "I mean out of this house. This life." His voice cracked, but he steadied it. "I want more." Grace's eyes filled, but she blinked the tears back. "More than love." Daniel didn't answer. He walked out the back door and sat on the porch steps, staring at the streetlights flickering to life. Behind him, Grace pressed a hand to her chest, where an old ache had begun to bloom again. 3 months later, Daniel graduated high school. There was no party, no celebration dinner. Just Grace in the audience, clapping louder than anyone else when his name was called. That night, Daniel told her his plan. "I got a job offer," he said, standing in the doorway of her bedroom. "In New York. It's a sales position, entry level, but it pays decent. I'm leaving next week." Grace sat up in bed, pulling her robe tighter. "New York. Danny, that's so far." "I know. You'll be all alone." "I'll be fine, Mom." She studied his face, searching for the little boy who used to crawl into her bed during thunderstorms. "Is this what you really want?" "Yes." Grace nodded slowly. "Then I won't stop you." She got out of bed and walked to her closet. From a shoebox on the top shelf, she pulled out an envelope, wrinkled and yellowed with age. "Your father left this," she said quietly, handing it to him. "He saved it for your future. It's not much, but it'll help you get started." Daniel opened the envelope. Inside were $2,300 bills. His throat tightened. "Mom, I can't." "You can. And you will." She cupped his face in her rough, work-worn hands. "I just have one thing to ask." "What?" "Don't forget where you came from." He hugged her then, but it was quick, almost obligatory. "I won't." The following Monday, Daniel packed his life into 2 duffel bags. Grace made him breakfast, though neither of them ate much. When the cab arrived, she walked him to the curb. "Call me when you get there," she said. "I will. And eat real meals. Not just fast food." "Mom, I'm not a kid." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "You'll always be my kid." Daniel climbed into the cab. As it pulled away, he looked back once, just once, and saw his mother standing in the driveway, waving. He didn't wave back. New York swallowed Daniel whole. The city was a symphony of noise and motion, sirens, subways, a million conversations overlapping. He rented a cramped studio in Queens, sharing a bathroom with 3 other tenants. The job was harder than he'd expected. He worked 12-hour days selling insurance over the phone, his voice going hoarse from repeating the same pitch hundreds of times. But he was good at it. Within 6 months, he'd become one of the top salespeople. Within a year, he was promoted. He moved into a better apartment, bought new clothes, started going to networking events where people handed out business cards like playing cards. And slowly, subtly, Daniel began to change. He called his mother less. At first, it was once a week. Then every other week. Then once a month, and even then, the conversations were brief. "How are you, Danny?" Grace would ask. "Busy, Mom. Really busy." "Are you eating enough?" "Yeah, I'm fine." "I miss you." A pause. "I miss you too, Mom. I gotta go." "Talk soon." But soon kept stretching longer. Grace would sit by the phone after they hung up, holding it like it might ring again. She'd write him letters, long, rambling letters about the neighbors, the weather, memories from when he was small. She'd mail them with stamps she bought one at a time because they were expensive. Daniel rarely wrote back. At work, people started calling him ruthless. He didn't mind. Ruthless meant successful. He climbed higher, regional manager, then director. He moved to Manhattan, into a high-rise with a view of Central Park. He wore tailored suits and ate at restaurants where a single meal cost more than his mother's monthly grocery bill. He told himself he'd visit home soon. But soon never came. 5 years passed. Daniel was 32 now, vice president of a growing firm. He had everything he'd dreamed of: money, respect, a corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows. He dated a woman named Jessica who worked in marketing and laughed at all his jokes. Then one Tuesday morning, his phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. But something made him pick up. "Hello. Is this Daniel Peterson?" A woman's voice, professional but kind. "Yes." "Who's this?" "My name is Nurse Carla Mitchell. I'm calling from St. Mary's Hospital. It's about your mother, Grace Peterson." Daniel's heart stopped. "What happened?" "She collapsed at work yesterday. We admitted her last night. She's stable now, but..." "Mr. Peterson, she's very sick." "Sick? What do you mean?" "Stage 4 lung cancer. It's advanced. The doctor estimates she has a few weeks, maybe less." The words didn't land at first. They hovered in the air, nonsensical. That's not possible," Daniel said. "She would have told me." According to her chart, she was diagnosed 8 months ago. "She's been undergoing treatment, but she didn't want to burden you." Those were her words. Daniel's knees went weak. He sat down hard in his leather chair. Can I see her? Of course. She's been asking for you. Daniel took the first flight out. The plane ride was torture. He stared out the window, watching clouds drift past, and all he could think about were the phone calls he'd ignored, the visits he'd postponed, the years he'd let slip away. She was dying. And he hadn't even known. A cab took him straight from the airport to the hospital. He rushed through the sterile hallways, following the nurse's directions until he reached room 304. He stopped outside the door. Through the small window, he could see her, lying in the bed, so much smaller than he remembered. Her hair was completely gray now, thin and wispy against the pillow. An oxygen tube ran beneath her nose. Her eyes were closed. Daniel pushed the door open. The sound made her stir. Her eyes fluttered open, and when she saw him, her face transformed. "Danny," she whispered. He crossed the room in 3 strides and took her hand. It felt like paper, dry and fragile. "Mom, I'm here. I'm so sorry. I didn't know." "Shoo." She squeezed his hand weakly. "You're here now. That's all that matters. Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you were busy. You were building your life. You should have told me." "And what would you have done?" she asked gently. "Left everything to sit by my bedside." "No, Danny. I didn't want that for you. But I could have helped. I could have." "You did help," she interrupted. "Every time you called, even for just a few minutes, it made my whole week. Every time you told me about your successes, I felt so proud." Tears spilled down Daniel's cheeks. "I should have visited. I knew you were busy." "That's not an excuse." Grace smiled, a tired, peaceful smile. "Danny, listen to me. I need you to know something." "What?" "I'm not angry. I'm not hurt. I'm just grateful. Grateful. That I got to be your mother. That I got to see you grow into a man. That even now, at the end, I get to see your face one more time." Daniel broke then. He laid his head on her chest and sobbed like a child. Grace ran her fingers through his hair, the way she used to when he was small. "Don't cry, baby," she whispered. "Everything's going to be okay." Daniel didn't leave the hospital for 3 days. He slept in the chair beside her bed, ate vending machine food, and refused to take calls from work. Jessica flew in, but he barely noticed her. All that existed was his mother, her labored breathing, her soft voice, her fading presence. They talked about everything. She told him stories he'd forgotten, how he used to dance in the rain, how he'd once tried to adopt every stray cat in the neighborhood, how proud his father would have been. He told her about his life, the promotions, the deals, the moments he'd wished she could have been there to celebrate. "I was always there," she said. "In here." She tapped his chest. A mother's love doesn't need proximity. On the 4th day, Daniel stepped out to get coffee. When he returned, a doctor was waiting outside her room. "Mr. Peterson, I need to speak with you." "What's wrong?" "Her vitals are declining rapidly. I don't think it will be much longer." Daniel's vision blurred. "How long?" "Hours. Maybe a day." He went back inside. Grace's eyes were closed, her breathing shallow. He took her hand. "Mom, I'm here." Her eyes opened slightly. "Danny. I'm not going anywhere." She smiled. "Good. I need to tell you something." "What is it?" "In my house, top drawer of my dresser, there's a letter." "A letter? For you?" "Read it when I'm gone." "Mom, don't talk like that." "Promise me." "I promise." She closed her eyes again. "I love you, Danny. So much." "I love you too, Mom." Her breathing slowed. The heart monitor beeped steadily, then irregularly, then. Daniel felt her hand go slack. The nurse came in. The doctor came in. They said words Daniel didn't hear. His mother was gone. The funeral was small. A few neighbors, some of Grace's old employers, Naskala. Daniel stood at the graveside, staring at the casket, feeling like he'd been hollowed out. Afterward, he went to his childhood home. It looked even smaller than he remembered. The porch still sagged. The paint still peeled. But inside, everything was exactly as she'd left it, clean, organized, filled with pictures of him. He walked to her bedroom. The dresser was old, the wood scratched and faded. He opened the top drawer. Inside was a stack of letters, dozens of them. All addressed to him. All unsent. Beneath them was a single envelope with his name written in her shaky handwriting. Daniel sat on the bed and opened it. My dearest Danny. If you're reading this, it means I'm no longer there to say these words to your face. So I'm writing them down, hoping they'll reach you when you need them most. I want you to know that I've never been prouder of anyone in my entire life. You became everything I hoped you would be, strong, ambitious, driven. You built a life that most people only dream of. And even though you were far away, I never stopped cheering for you. But Danny, there's something I need you to understand. Success is wonderful. Money is useful. But neither of those things will hold your hand when you're scared. They won't tell you they're proud of you just for trying. They won't love you when you fail. I know I wasn't rich. I know I couldn't give you designer clothes or fancy vacations. But I gave you everything I had, my time, my energy, my heart. And I'd do it all again without hesitation. Don't let the world convince you that what you have is never enough. Don't chase things so hard that you forget the people who would give anything just to see you smile. You are enough, Danny. Just as you are. I forgive you for the missed calls and the forgotten visits. I forgive you because I understand. But I hope you'll forgive yourself, too. Live fully. Love deeply. And when you think of me, don't feel sad. Feel grateful that we had each other, even if it wasn't as long as we wanted. You'll always be my little boy. All my love. Mom. Daniel read it 3 times. Then he folded it carefully, pressed it to his chest, and wept. Daniel returned to New York a different man. He went back to work, but the fire that had once driven him felt dimmed. The promotions didn't excite him. The praise felt empty. One evening, Jessica asked him what was wrong. I spent 15 years chasing something I thought I wanted, he said quietly. And I lost the one person who loved me no matter what. Your mom knew you loved her. But did she feel it? He asked. I don't know anymore. He started making changes. He cut back his hours. He started volunteering at a community center, mentoring kids from neighborhoods like the one he grew up in. He called his old neighbors, checked in on them. He kept his mother's letter in his wallet. Some days, he'd pull it out and read it in moments when the old hunger for more started creeping back. And slowly, he began to understand what his mother had been trying to teach him all along. 10 years later, Daniel stood in front of a group of young professionals at a leadership conference. Before I talk about success, he began, I want to tell you about my mother. He told them everything, the sacrifices, the distance, the regret. He told them about the letter. When he finished, the room was silent. Then someone in the front row raised their hand. What would you say to someone who's where you were 15 years ago? They asked. Daniel paused. I'd say, call your mom. Visit your dad. Hug your grandparents. Don't wait until success comes to share it with them. Because by the time you have everything you wanted, they might not be there to see it. He looked out at the audience. The world will tell you to work harder, earn more, climb higher. And there's nothing wrong with ambition. But don't let it cost you the people who loved you before you were successful. Don't trade presents for presents. He pulled the letter from his pocket and held it up. This is the most valuable thing I own. Not my car. Not my house. This. Because it reminds me that love isn't something you get when you deserve it. It's something someone gives you because they choose to. And if someone chooses you, don't take it for granted. The room erupted in applause. But Daniel wasn't finished. One more thing, he said, his voice breaking slightly. If your parents are still alive, call them tonight. Tell them you love them. Ask them how they are doing. And really listen. Because one day, you'll wish you could hear their voice just one more time. And no amount of success in the world will bring it back. Thank you for taking the time to read or listen to this story. If it touched you, please leave a comment below telling me what you felt. Did it remind you of someone? Did it change how you see the people in your life? I'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a story that speaks to the heart. What would you have done if you were Daniel? Let me know in the comments.